Good morning. Let's bring the July 24th, 25 board meeting to order, please. We do have a quorum. We are 6. Dr. Clemente, Schnarr, Sunbury, Natalie Goodwin, Kelly Peelman, and myself, Jerry Rodenbarger. You have before you the amended agenda for today, and I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as we have it.
So moved.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Excellent. We also have sent to us ahead of time the April 24th, 25 meeting minutes. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to review those. Do we have any additions or corrections to those minutes that we need to discuss at this point? If not, and hearing of none, I would again entertain a motion to adopt the minutes from the April 24th meeting.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second? Thank you, Paul. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Excellent. The minutes have indeed been adopted.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to go ahead at this point and swear in our court reporter. Will the official reporter designated for this hearing please stand? Do you solemnly swear that you will keep complete and true notes of all that transpires in this hearing and prepare a complete transcript thereof from your notes and faithfully perform all duties imposed upon you as an official reporter under the laws of the state of Indiana?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with personal appearances.
Brittany, do I take?
No, we just go ahead and swear the court reporter at the beginning for the hearings later.
All right, thank you.
We'll catch up with you at the hearing.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Darren, are you with us?
I think so. Can you
I
hear me?
think so too. There you are. Good
Oh.
morning.
Good morning.
Well, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm at the clinic or the Sullivan County Animal Hospital right now this morning, and then other than that, I've been doing good. Still working, doing work for the family business. I've actually, I was going to tell you guys, I'm starting a new business too, doing mobile veterinary work. That I'll be doing basically Monday through Wednesdays, and then Saturday afternoons, in kind of conjunction with the clinic. So,
In your mobile capacity, what are you going to be doing?
mixed animal, so both large and small animal. Mostly, the goal is to work with mostly at home. Wellness care, really. People that have more than 2 or 3 animals, or people that just have a hard time getting out of the house. There's nobody in my overall area that really does house calls for that kind of thing right now. So there's kind of I think it'll be a nice service for people. At-home euthanasias, some emergency work. It's more going to be emergency triage, where I go out and if it's a true emergency, then we have to get them in. I help them get somewhere. Like, unfortunately, in Terre Haute area, there's not a true emergency clinic, so have to send them to Indy for that. But it would help. I think it would be a nice service to help people kind of in that intermediate stage of trying to decide what to do. Have me go out, do an exam, stabilize if possible, or determine that they need to go somewhere for more extensive care. And then mixed animal work, there's kind of a lack of that in my area too. And the mobile thing kind of gives me the flexibility to still meet my other responsibilities too, as far as working at the clinic and doing the research work. So
So you're gonna go out and dehorn some cows? Is that part of the program?
yep,
Oh.
it needs done.
I thought I was joking, but apparently not, so.
No, I'll
I
do
think
that
you
too.
need, if you have a couple more jobs, you'll maybe be, up for a reward or something. I think you
Oh,
need 5
well.
or 6 at the same time juggling to be able to get that, though.
Yeah, well, the kind of idea with the mobile practice too is that it'll give me the flexibility to, I can schedule appointments, and if I'm have to be at the research farm for something, or if the clinic needs me because the owners are out of town, I can kind of schedule around that a lot.
Sure.
And like I said, there's nobody in our area that'll even go out and do like regular house calls or anything like that. There are some guys that'll do some large animal work, but not very many. And I'm just kind of in a unique position where that kind of fits. So.
Okay. Well, Ann Kelly says you're doing well, so tell us a little bit about how all that's happening and going along.
As far as the testing and everything's been fine. I just had my meeting with Ann yesterday, and she's happy with everything. And I think it's pretty, to be honest, once you get in the habit of doing the breathalyzer and the stuff, the only thing I really run into problems with is sometimes I'll forget at night, and then I have to go do a urine test the next day. Sometimes I fall asleep before.
So as busy as you are you in a happy place? How you doing emotionally, and your stress level?
Yeah, good. I've actually been working out quite a bit. That's one thing they kind of say when you're during recovery and you stop the drinking is that you need to find something to kind of keep you busy and throw yourself into, and so I've been working out a lot. I actually down 20 pounds from April, and then I've been. Yeah.
Well, I saw your picture. You were there on the screen before we started, and I hardly recognized you. So,
Thank you.
I can tell that you're reforming yourself a little bit. That's great.
Yeah. Yep. No, it puts me in a really good place as far as sleep and everything like that. So.
That's great. You've got a lot of hours of community service, I know, that was part of the program.
Yep.
What are you doing to fulfill those hours, and how are you fitting that into this busy schedule you've got?
Yeah, so I actually every Thursday afternoon I go to the humane shelter and do surgeries. But while I'm there, they bring out, when you're there, they ask you everything else. So that's part of the surgeries aren't really my community service, but me doing other things for them. And I'll do other surgeries besides spay and neuters if they've got one that's injured, get a laceration, something like that, while I'm there and not charge them for it. So, that's one place I've been doing it. The other place I've been doing it is church, through different church events.
Okay, awesome. Are you still biking from place to place and hitching rides, or?
Hitching rides, I'm not much of a biker, so in 3 weeks I'll be getting my license back, and then I'll be driving. That's actually when I'm going to launch the mobile thing, is like the week after that. Obviously,
we were trying to figure that out while you were talking.
I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, I start driving in 3 weeks. So.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Questions from the group or comments? Not now.
Transportation.
Okay.
Just
I shouldn't mention
curious.
that.
Curious, the mobile clinic part.
Yeah.
I didn't quite catch. Is it associated with the clinic you're working for now, or is this out on your own completely?
So it is going to be independent. It's going to be It's going to be my business, but my bosses or the owners of the clinic are fully on board with it. So things like if I go out and decide I need a radiograph, or that we need to do surgery and I need help, which anything that requires full anesthesia, I'm going to send them down here. And they're totally on board with that. They said, just let us know, and we can basically, we'll work out the payments between us and do that. So they're fully on board.
Okay.
Anything else from the board? Well, it sounds like you're doing great. Don't add too many more things to your schedule, or you may get a little stressed, and that's not a good thing.
No.
So it sounds like you're just about going to be busy enough. If there's nothing else, we will see you at our next meeting.
Do you
Sounds
want him to come
great.
back next meeting or maybe in January since he's doing so well?
Thoughts on timing? I mean-
Did the order specify how many?
No.
Okay.
I think January's fine.
Okay, well, you'll have your license by then, so you can slip slide here in January and come see us in the snow then.
Sounds perfect.
Honestly, I'm assuming he can Zoom if he wants to or needs to,
That's okay with you guys.
or whatever you think. We like having you here, but I don't want to inconvenience you with your busy schedule.
No, whatever works. I can make it work.
Okay. Come see us in January.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
You bet.
The next one might be in the hallway.
Okay.
He really does look.
Ashley, are you having trouble connecting to the internet? Okay, I'm gonna.
Just his demeanor.
That's great.
Let me.
Want to go see if you can
She, I think
Other technology.
find her for us? Our next area of discussion is under applications with personal appearances, and so we are, and there she is. Delaney?
Yes, hi.
Hi. Dr. Rodenbarger, welcome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about background that we've read some of and why you're here, and kind of introduce yourself to the board if you don't mind.
Okay, I'm Delaney McGrath. I just graduated from Colorado State. I was in an incident when I was 18 where I was drinking and driving, got into an accident, and served probation time for that.
And that was here in
That
Indianapolis,
was
is
here
that
in
right?
Indianapolis,
Okay.
yes. And then in 2021, when I was 25, I also had an incident of drinking and driving while going home. No accident was involved, but I was under probation and sentenced to jail for about 28 days. We were able to work it out so I could serve jail time during the weekend while I was going to school, and community service. Yeah, so that's 9 years because I filled out my application and disclosed those encounters with the police.
I'm not as familiar with the legality situations as, and thankfully not, I guess, but with regard to blood alcohol and that kind of thing, I guess I didn't realize that you could refuse that. I think in Indiana, if you won't blow for them, they cart you to the hospital to get a blood draw. Can you tell me how that works out in Colorado, or what the scenario is? Because it indicated in your paperwork that you had refused a PAC.
Yeah, so I refused a breathalyzer, and that basically is like an admission of guilt. So they arrested me and took me to jail afterwards. I admitted I had drank as well, so they knew that, of the circumstance. But yes, I never took a breathalyzer, and they never drew blood from me or anything like that. They took me to jail right afterwards.
Now, does the concentration, its level, have issues with as far as what your conviction's going to be? So was that a good thing not to do because you didn't want to know what that was? I mean, I'm just thinking through this, trying to figure that out a little bit.
I'm not really sure how much it changes what they were going to do.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it was good because I don't think I would have had a high BAC. I wish I honestly would have just taken it and, admitted it. I think it was a little bit worse, the fact that I didn't, just because of, how the court felt about it and that they didn't know, thinking that it was maybe higher than it actually was. So I'm not really sure. I wasn't.
Well, that's where my head was. I
Yeah.
mean, so I was just curious. I'm not critiquing your decision at all. I just want to try to understand what the situation was with that.
But basically I learned, it was basically an admission of guilt to refuse a breathalyzer as well.
Okay. Was that in your first year, or where were you in school at the time that happened?
Yeah, the spring of my first year. So I started in August 2021, and I think it was in March 2022.
Okay. All right.
Good.
Go ahead.
On a similar point, unless I missed it, we didn't have a BAC from the first go-round. I don't know that that's something you memorized, but do you have any?
I'm not sure. I thought they had breathalyzed me when that happened. It was 10 years ago, so I'm not really sure. It was, definitely, I was still in high school at the time. It was really, really stupid mistake, and I was more intoxicated that first time for sure. It was a pretty different circumstance too. I was trying to get out of a situation, made a really stupid decision, but I would say it was probably over a 0.1, but I can't remember for sure what it was.
And that was a single vehicle accident?
Yes,
Is that right?
Yeah, I ran off the road, yeah.
Okay. All righty. Do you drink now?
Within reason, yes, I do.
You want to embellish on that a little? I'm just casual. Do you
Yeah.
drive at all?
No, I drive, but not while drinking whatsoever. I mean, now I would say that during school, I was drinking maybe once every couple of weeks. I would say it's probably around the same amount now since in the past few years. I never drink and drive. I had a breathalyzer in my car for a really long time, which was fine. And I think I talked to my therapist a lot about drinking, and definitely is something that I'm considering about just being sober. It's just been kind of some time for me to, consider that in the past couple of years.
And are you still seeing someone, or do you feel comfortable that you're okay on your own at this point?
I'm with a therapist. She's not like specifically substance abuse, but she's a nurse practitioner and has worked with a lot of substance abuse. So she's someone I talk with a lot for that, but I'm not in like a specific program or anything.
And is that here, or is that in Colorado?
It's actually I lived in Arizona before Colorado, so she's kind of been with me through all of this. She's from Arizona, but we just meet over Zoom.
Okay.
But it's been good for me because I'm really comfortable with her, and she, actually knows about the situation from start to finish, basically. So, that's basically who I work with to talk about that stuff.
And are you in central Indiana now?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
as far
I
as
live right
your
down
home?
the street. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
And where is that?
Brookville Animal Hospital. Dr. Joseph Leith is the owner. Right now, I'm basically just in the back assisting with
Sure.
vets and, working with cases, but not, taking full cases right now yet.
It would be wise not to tell us that you're seeing patients at this point.
Sorry.
Comments or thoughts or questions from the board?
How often do you Zoom with your counselor?
About every 2 weeks, sometimes every week, just depending on how I'm feeling. In school, when things were really busy, maybe like once a month, but she always kind of reaches out to me when it's been a while too, so probably about twice a month on average.
Back to closer when you had your incident, did you have, what type of treatments or did you have, or what was the post-incident activity?
I had a, like, I don't remember how many weeks it was, but it was a long period. It was like a 16-week drug and alcohol program that was mandated by the state and went through a local place in Colorado. Just have to actually not open anymore, but basically we would meet over Zoom and I would have like group therapy talking about substance abuse, and then did a Mothers Against Drunk Driving council like meeting. I had to go to a few of those, and then meeting with my probation officer as well.
Did you have any random testing?
Oh,
was
yes.
done?
Yeah, yes, I was on drug testing for urinalysis testing for, I guess, maybe like 2 years, and it ended in 2024. So throughout my probation time, I went and took urine tests.
And you're comfortable with your
Hello?
casual alcohol interaction at this point?
I am.
Has a few questions for you. You want to talk to her?
Yeah, okay, all right. Hello?
Somebody waiting.
You on the?
No, Jared has
Doing
been on it.
well, thank you, and how are you?
Sorry, hang on just a
We
second.
can. Mute it, though.
Oh, that,
Right,
so,
right,
we'll do that.
right, absolutely. Right,
See, can you hear us?
To somebody that's
Waiting?
waiting.
Right.
And they don't realize their mic is on.
Probably.
Right.
But I don't have control of it.
Well, if he could hear us, we could ask him. I don't hear him now. Maybe he knows that.
He's muted now.
All right. Sorry, we're back with you now.
Okay.
We had help there for a minute.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it. I don't think that I am abusing it. But it's, it's something I've considered for a long time is, keep on being completely sober. It's, I'm kind of in an in-between stage of being like I'll go a month or two without drinking and then have like a casual drink. So I'm sort of just in a place where I'm like, maybe it's just time to stop completely, but yeah.
Do you have family in the Indy area? How long have you been back, and have you been able to connect with friends from before when you were here?
I have, my parents both live in town, and aunts and uncles as well. I've been staying with my parents since about the beginning of June. When I moved back in with them for a bit before while I was looking for an apartment, moving into an apartment in a couple of weeks. I have some friends still around. I left Indiana when I was 18, so a lot of that I don't have a ton of friends in the area, but I've definitely seen like some of my good friends from high school that are still around, but yeah.
Those weren't your drinking friends, right, from high school? Okay, anything else from the board?
What are your stress relievers? What outside of?
Yeah, I work out like 5 days a week, so that's always like a huge, really important to me. Even though, which I want to say, I haven't been seeing patients at the hospital, just being there with, a doctor and helping them and, trying to understand the system and how to put in meds and that kind of stuff, mostly just training. But, after work on a day that's been stressful or school, I like immediately go to the gym. And it helps me a lot. I read all the time. And yeah, I would see those as my two main things that keep me level-headed.
This spring.
This spring.
You graduated this spring?
Mhm.
Right. And what is your major interest?
Small animal general practice. I love working with exotics as well, so I hope I can kind of do some continued education in that. But yeah, so as far as small animal practice goes, I don't really know what my, thing is gonna be yet, that I really enjoy.
Medicine versus surgery?
More, I've enjoyed surgery a lot. I've done a lot of spay neuter clinics in the past, so I've really been a fan of kind of community practice and surgery. So I hope to be a part of Street Dog Coalition, which I worked with in school, which provides medical care to people who are homeless or who are on the verge of homelessness. So those are my main interests, I guess.
Okay. Well, we appreciate the chance to get to know you a little bit and tolerate our questions. Thoughts from the board moving forward?
I love that you have a little bit of a niche that you're interested in that could be yours with the exotic medicine. I feel like that's something that Indiana could use more of, so go after that if that's a passion you have. And, the drinking thing, it's created a lot of stress in your life, so not doing it does not hurt you any. But you could always have this mentality of, if I drink anything, I'm not driving. I'm only drinking at home, or I'm only drinking if I have a DD or whatever. You could set some, because I think once you kind of get going there, then judgment's going to change. And I think if you kind of just set some rules with yourself that if I don't have someone I trust that's going to be sober, then I just don't. This day and age, especially with younger groups, that's kind of becoming a thing that you don't really need to go out and drink anymore. There's all these other options. So I think you got a lot going for you, and you're past all this terrible, section in your life. So I'd make changes and stick with it.
Thoughts from anyone about licensure? I would entertain a motion to grant licensure, if anyone so feels to do that.
I move we grant licensure for DVM in Indiana.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Congratulations. Good luck.
And I just issued your license.
Okay, thank you.
Big sigh.
Now you can go see.
You dropped your
Good luck.
phone. Dropped your phone.
I
All
did it
30
before you guys
seconds.
voted.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But they're enough.
All right.
I love that you can do that.
She's fine. She's asked.
She asked already.
All right.
So did I. So that's part of the shocking, isn't it?
No, it just says.
Okay, we are ready for administrative hearings to start. We have before us initially a petition to withdraw or modify probation. Dr. Medlock. Good morning.
How we doing?
Doing okay. How are you?
Better before I twisted my ankle.
You twisted your ankle? Just coming up to the table or?
Yeah.
Okay. You need a minute?
We're good.
Awesome. All right. This is an administrative hearing being held on July 24th, 2025 at 1202 East 38th Street, Discovery Hall, Suite 100, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46205, and electronically through Microsoft Teams at 9:33 a.m. local time. This hearing is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana found in Indiana Code 4-21.5 before 7 members of the Indiana Board of Veterinary Medicine in a cause docketed as administrative cause number 2024 VB0008. The notice of time and place of this hearing was emailed to the respondent as provided by law on April 29, 2025. The purpose of this hearing is to consider the petition to withdraw or modify probation as filed by the respondent. My name is Jerry Rodenbarger, and I am serving as hearing officer for this board. The following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Paul Clemente, DVM, John Schnurr, DVM, Stephen Sunbury, DVM, Natalie C. Goodwin, consumer member, Ashley Selke, registered veterinary technician, and Kelly Peelman, DVM. At this time, I will request that any board member who feels that he or she cannot give this individual a fair hearing and render an impartial decision to remove himself or herself from this hearing. Okay. We have no counsel. Do you understand that you have the right to be represented by an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wish to proceed without an attorney?
I don't see why not.
Good answer. All right. Need to have you stand if you would, please. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. The parties in this matter are hereby notified that the board will take official judicial notice of its file and record in this matter. All individuals attending this meeting are hereby placed on notice that this meeting is being recorded pursuant to Indiana law and will be a matter of public record. Would you like to make an opening statement?
No. I mean, do you have questions for me?
Well, sure. Can you give us a little background about what's been going on since we last saw you, how you're doing, just some general stuff so we can get to know you a little better again?
Yeah, so doing great. Not drinking. Worked with Ann, went through that whole process of breathalyzer and drug screening, alcohol screening. She should have sent you a notification that I completed all that stuff. Stress level is near zero after selling the practice.
And that was in 22, the end of 22, is that right?
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still working there as medical director.
You are still working there?
At the clinic, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just, I'm having fun again. I'll never own another veterinary practice.
I can understand that. Okay. And so you're not drinking at all at this point, is that right?
I had a beer with a buddy at my house like a month or 3 ago. But no, like I don't have the stress. I don't have the urge. It was more of a, he came over, we went fishing in the pond. He's like, "You want a beer?" And I'm like, "Sure." I had one beer.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's just not a part of my life. It's just not.
Well, I think the sale of the practice and a lot of the surrounding things that were going on at that point just kind of
It tipped me over the edge.
piled up on you and
Yeah.
became an issue. So I was sorry for that, but it sounds like you're in a great place right now.
Fantastic.
That's fantastic. What's your schedule at the hospital?
Tuesday through Friday from 9 to 5, one Saturday a month.
Okay. And kind of just real briefly detail your activity there, things you do.
A little bit, like medical director is more of a title than anything. We have a full-time practice manager that does all the HR and the ordering and all that stuff. I show up and I'm just a veterinarian. I see patients. I do 20 to 30-minute appointments. Having been there since 2012, I have a really good client base. I feel like they're more friends than strangers,
I can relate to that.
Yeah. It's wonderful. And I get an hour for lunch, lunch, where I catch up on phone calls and do that stuff, but it's totally manageable.
So if there's a question with regard to specific care of a patient or how a patient was cared for, are you involved in
Yeah.
discussion of that sort of thing as the director?
But that doesn't happen. I mean, I'm not saying it won't happen, but it's actually the associate that I knew was probably going to quit a month ago. Not my problem. So we still have one doctor that works 1 day a week on Mondays, and then actually my dad is he's practicing with me on Thursdays, which is really neat because we've never practiced together in all the years that I've been a vet. So it's just fun to get to work with him. And but yeah, it's like we don't have a lot. I mean, everybody practices good medicine, thankfully. So there's not a lot of that, if any at all.
I'm just curious, how old is your dad?
75.
Oh, youngster.
He sold his practice a year before I did, in 21, and he went into semi-retirement, which was 3 days a week from 4 days a week and no Saturdays. And he says he's not going to quit doing that because if he stays home, his wife's going to make him actually work. So I say good, because we need the help.
I'm learning a lot from this. This is working for me, so with regard to that, so that's great. Questions, comments, thoughts from the board?
I'll ask you the same. You say stress level is much reduced.
Mhm.
Drinking very little, if any. What are your outside interests? What do you do?
I do competitive 3D archery, and I work out. And I fish, play with my daughter.
What kind of archery did you say?
3D archery. So you just go out and shoot foam targets at different yardages.
Okay.
It's a lot of practice.
You do that?
I used to do that, yeah.
Kevin knows about that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
50 arrows a day.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
exceptions.
Yeah.
So are you through with all of your court-ordered criminal?
Oh, yeah.
That's why you're here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's been done for a while.
Whatever.
So Tyson, are you now completed everything that Ann Kelly expected for you to do? Or you're no longer under veterinary well-being care? When exactly did that end?
I don't know the exact date.
Has it been a month or
It's
so?
been about a month, like June 13th-ish, maybe, somewhere around there.
Good.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did you come back after your original appearance,
I
like
came
in
back.
last July?
The last time I hear, I think, was for the November meeting.
Okay.
And then you guys said that I could skip the next one because I wasn't gonna be done with Ann's stuff yet.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just looking back, so
Yeah.
that's accurate.
Yeah.
So
He had to complete all that before we could.
that's
make
correct.
it. That's one.
That is correct. Anything else from the board?
Was there, am I remembering correctly, was there some sort of financial embezzlement or something happened in the practice that triggered all this?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of money.
Tell me. It was like 150 grand.
And did you ever get whole on that?
That was just out of my practice sale proceeds, that's out of pocket. And it wasn't, It wasn't that it was embezzled, it was that the person responsible for paying all the bills, like the IDEX and the MWI and then all that, like, she just didn't do it for like 2 months.
But it wasn't like that person took the money?
No.
Okay,
No.
but you had to catch up on all that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
none of that got factored into the practice sale, so it was all.
And that stress is gone.
It's gone, yeah, and I've accepted it, I'm doing fine. I got a tractor with air conditioning. Can't complain.
He is doing good if he has a tractor.
All right, anything else for the good? Okay. Throw out a couple sentences, give us a closing statement.
Thank you, guys. I had to get through a tough spot, and it took me getting into trouble, which is unfortunate. But having gone through this and working with Ann, I've really got my life back to where it needs to be. So thank you guys for that.
Well, sounds like you're in a great place. Congratulations.
I'm gonna stay here too. I don't want to be
Well,
sitting in this chair.
You go wherever you want, but you can't stay here.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. These proceedings, according to notice, are hereby concluded. This cause is therefore adjourned until further notice. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. So I'm good now?
Hang there for a sec or two, if you don't mind. Okay, discussion.
I think we're good to go.
I think we are
For
too.
the motion to
Okay,
withdraw the probation,
and are you making that motion?
absolutely.
Okay, I have a
I'll
motion
second.
to withdraw the probation and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now you can go.
Thank you guys all very much.
You bet.
I hope to see you at a conference, if never from the city again.
Awesome.
Hey, Britt.
Take care.
You bet.
He requested to come off probation, so I'll put that in order.
Good.
Actual date.
Will I get an email on that?
Yeah, once we get the order, I'll take the probation off of your license and you'll receive the order by email. It won't take very long, Clarence is pretty quick.
Have a great day, everybody.
I have,
You know what I think ask? When he renews, does he have to report this, or he already did?
I think.
no, because he reported it on his 2023.
Okay. So he wouldn't have to re-report it.
Does he have a license?
Because the wording is since your last renewal, I believe.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
he's done it.
April
I knew the
29th.
renewal was coming up, and I'm like, okay.
So he has to renew that in October, right?
Like everybody else.
Oh, really?
So he wouldn't have.
They're still doing your CV.
None of you have renewed, by the way. I'm sad about it.
Don't be too smart.
Really hard on it.
We're working on it.
We're gonna wait till the calendar says October before I can.
Okay,
Well, if you
Everybody-
had taken it.
everybody good to move on?
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't see that.
All right. All right, let's move on. Next, under administrative complaints, Dr. Knowlton, DVM. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for coming. Okay. Everybody good? Awesome, thank you. This is an administrative hearing being held on July 24th, 2025 at 1202 East 38th Street, Discovery Hall, Suite 100, Indianapolis, Indiana 46205, and electronically through Microsoft Teams at 9:48 a.m. local time. This hearing is being conducted pursuant to the laws of the state of Indiana found in Indiana Code 4-21.5 under before 7 members of the Indiana Board of Veterinary Medicine in a cause docketed as administrative cause number 2025 VB 0008. The notice of time and place of this hearing was emailed to the respondent as provided by law on April 29th, 2025. The purpose of this hearing is to consider the administrative complaint as filed by the state of Indiana on February 13th, 2025. My name is Jerry Rodenbarger, and I am serving as hearing officer for this board. The following members of the board are sitting with me on this hearing: Paul Clemente, DVM, John Schneider, DVM, Stephen Sunbury, DVM, Natalie C. Goodwin, consumer member, Ashley Selke, registered veterinary technician, and Kelly Peelman, DVM. At this time, I will request that any board member who feels that he or she cannot give this individual a fair hearing and render an impartial decision to remove himself or herself from this hearing. May I have appearance of counsel, please?
J.C. Rush for the state.
Thank you.
Justin Olson, Kroger Gardens and Regis, on behalf of Dr. Nolte.
Thank you very much. Will all those who know themselves to be a witness or who may be a witness in this cause, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you, each of you, solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please be seated. The parties in this matter are hereby notified that the board will take official judicial notice of its file and record in this matter. All individuals attending this meeting are hereby placed on notice that this meeting is being recorded pursuant to Indiana law and will be a matter of public record. Would either party wish to make an opening statement?
Yes.
Please proceed.
The state is here today requesting that the board issue sanctions against respondent Dr. Matthew William Nolting's license. The state will present testimony and evidence showing that respondent knowingly advised and allowed at least 2 employees, one who was a registered veterinarian technician and one who was unlicensed, to complete surgeries, namely cat neuters, on client-owned, feral, and shelter patients. The Indiana Code expressly states that the practice of veterinary medicine means performing a surgical or dental operation. The Indiana Code also states that neither a registered veterinary technician nor a veterinary assistant may perform as a surgeon. While Dr. Nolting may argue that there is some gray area as to whether a cat neuter is a surgery or a routine procedure, that doesn't really matter. That directly contradicts the American Veterinarian Medical Association's Model Veterinary Practice Act, which provides substantial guidance on this issue and expressly disallows even vet techs from performing surgeries. There can be no question that performing cat neuters qualifies as a surgical operation, regardless of whether that operation is directly supervised or the surgery is simple or routine. In this case, Dr. Nolting has allowed 2 employees to violate this code, and as such, the state will request the board issue an order imposing appropriate sanctions after the conclusion of this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. As I mentioned before, Justin Olson on behalf of Dr. Nolte. We're not going to contest most, if not all, of the facts of the case. The record will be pretty clear that these cat neuters did take place and that they were performed by registered veterinary technicians. But what we would like to discuss this morning is more of the why and Dr. Nolting's thought process for allowing veterinary technicians to perform those procedures, and also highlight for the board some of the ambiguities in the code and in its guidance for why Dr. Nolting allowed to happen what did happen. We'd also like to also highlight that the Indiana code allows bull castrations to be performed by registered veterinary technicians, provided they are appropriately supervised, and we'll explain a little bit of that. So our goal today is not to, again, deny the facts, but it is to provide an explanation and hopefully allow this case to be an invitation for the board to provide additional guidance for not only Dr. Nolting, but also for other similarly situated veterinarians who are performing these practices. So if the board's guidance and ruling after this hearing is that Dr. Nolting's conduct warrants a sanction, Dr. Nolting will certainly accept that. We would just hopefully can present enough evidence and argument to inform the board that the sanction be appropriate and proportionate to his intent, which was not to harm or operate outside the bounds of the law or guidance, but to help his community and do the right thing. So thank you for your time this morning, and we look forward to getting into this case and arguing our position after the close of that.
Thank you. Would you like to proceed?
Yes. I'd first like to call Delaney Walter, investigator at the Attorney General's office. Oh, you've already been sworn in. Okay. Does the board have copies of all the exhibits?
Oh, they do, but none of them have been admitted yet, so.
I just want to make sure, like, because I have the physical ones, so, okay.
Do you have their states learning?
Yes. Okay. What is your name?
Delaney Walter,
Can you please spell that for the record?
Delaney, Walter, Walter.
And where are you employed?
Office of the Indiana Attorney General.
And what is your position with the Attorney General?
I'm an investigator within licensing enforcement.
I would like to refer you to the State's Exhibit 1, which is the consumer complaint.
Yep.
Could she talk a little louder?
Can you speak up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
At this time, the state moves to admit the State's Exhibit 1 and publish it for board review.
Okay, we'll accept that.
I want to just object to the hearsay contained in Section 5 of this document.
So you can note the objection and allow it to come in, or you can reject it.
Objection noted. Proceed.
And submit it.
Submit the,
Are you letting them admit it?
yes.
Can you please describe the allegations that are made in this complaint?
Yes, our office received a consumer complaint in August of 2024, stating that a respondent's office was allowing registered veterinary technicians and unlicensed technicians to perform cat spay and neuters.
Okay, thank you. And then that's all for Exhibit 1. I just wanted to get that complaint in. I would also like to refer you to the State's Exhibit 2, which is a report of investigation from the Board of Animal Health. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, I do.
And absent the labeling, is this proposed exhibit before you a true and accurate copy of the document received through the investigation from the Board of Animal Health?
Yes, it is.
The state moves to admit Exhibit 2.
No objection.
Can you pass, do you have paper copies? Let's go ahead and pass those out. You do have them now in your folders, but you don't have the computer open, so.
Well, I do.
Okay, she has paper copies right there.
I have a couple. Do you want?
Right there. But I'll take one.
I'll take this is one.
Oh, you only have one copy?
I have 2 copies.
We don't need them over here.
Okay. Do you need a paper copy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So accepted and placed into evidence, is that correct?
Yeah, once it's admitted as evidence.
Okay.
Okay. According to this exhibit, is it true that the Board of Animal Health conducted an investigation of Southgate Veterinary Clinic where Dr. Matthew Nolting was working on October 9th, 2024?
Yes, that's correct.
And can you please turn to page 2 of exhibit 2? What information did Dr. Nolting provide to the Board of Animal Health during the inspection just regarding the scope of the practice of technicians?
He advised that they allowed cat neuters with his they allowed RVTs to perform cat neuters with his direct supervision. And they did employ technicians that did perform cat neuters. And the training did take place within the clinic. And that they were performing ear sutures and hemostomas. The technicians were.
Okay, thank you. And then on page 3 of exhibit 2, what did Dr. Nolting tell inspectors regarding his record-keeping practices as well?
He advised that he did not, since they were general case that spay and neuters, he generally did not take notes, but unless there was a complication, and that there was no way of telling if a technician performed the surgery or somebody. There was no clarification on who actually performed the surgery procedure.
Thank you. And then on pages 3 and 4 of exhibit 2, the report mentions 2 individuals by name who perform cat neuters that the Board of Animal Health was able to speak with. Who are they and what were their license status at the time that this report was made?
Yes, there was RVT Archer. She'd been employed for 12 years and she reported that she had been doing cat spay and neuters for 8 to 9 years. And then the next one was, I think it was Polky. She was a technician. She was unlicensed and had been performing them for 5 years. And I do have their names mixed up, I'm sorry.
Okay, just to clarify, what was the license status of Miss Taylor Archer?
She did not have a license.
And how long had she been performing cat neuters without a license?
5 years.
Okay, and she was not licensed as a veterinarian tech either?
That is correct. I'm sorry.
And then for Jean Marie Miss Hope, what was her license status?
She was an RVT for 12 years. She worked.
Okay, and so from the report, we can gather that we have 1 registered veterinarian technician, but also 1 completely unlicensed individual who were able to perform cat neuters under the direction of Dr. Nolting, correct?
Yes, both of which admitted to doing so.
Okay. Finally, on page 6, what is stated in the final paragraph of the conclusion in this inspection report? And I'm fine if you just want to tell us what it says.
Essentially, it was gathered that Mr. Nolting, as well as the 2 individuals, Hope and Archer, they all acknowledged that they had been practicing and he had been allowing them to perform cat spay and neuters for several years.
Just to clarify, was Dr. Nolting performing spays and neuters or only neuters?
To my understanding, mainly was neuters.
Yes. Thank you. The state has no further questions for this witness.
Cross.
Just a few questions. Thank you for coming. Just, this report does not identify any pet owners that you spoke with, correct?
That is correct.
And this report does not identify any other registered veterinary technicians that you spoke with, correct?
No, it does not.
That's all. That's it.
That's it. Several times you've mentioned spay and neuter, and then you kind of backed off from that and said mostly. Were these technicians or non-technicians doing any ovariohysterectomies, any spays?
Absolutely not.
My understanding was neuter, just neuter.
Okay. That's different. So, questions from the board before we move on?
Dr. Starr, did you have a question on the names of the RVT versus?
Well, there was one RVT that was doing surgery and one
Assistant.
assistant is what we, okay. And these are anesthetic procedures, correct? Okay.
How many RVTs do you have that are
I'm
not?
sorry, I can't hear you.
How many registered veterinary technicians do you have that are not doing the neuters?
Wait,
Wait a
hold
minute,
on.
we're over here.
The witness is Ms. Walter.
We're on the state side right now.
Okay.
Asking questions
Okay.
there. We'll get there.
Okay, same thing.
Sorry. Any redirect or follow-up questions for this witness?
I would have just 30 seconds to.
You bet.
I would like to follow up on the conclusion section of this report. If you're able to pull that up, the very first paragraph under the conclusion, page 6 of the exhibit 1. I'm sorry, exhibit 2. And that conclusion says veterinary surgery is a medical specialty that uses manual and instrumental techniques to diagnose or treat pathological conditions, to alter body functions, or to remove unwanted tissues or foreign bodies. Generally, a procedure is considered surgical when it involves the cutting of tissues. And my question for you is, that definition of surgery does not appear in the Indiana Code or Indiana regulations. Is that correct?
I don't have it in front of me, but I cannot confirm.
Okay. Where did you get that definition?
I did not put that definition on that report. That was not my report.
Do you know where that definition came from, even though it wasn't in the
Yes.
report?
Heather Solomon Gable on DVM for the State Board of Animal Health.
And does this report address the definition of routine procedures that a registered veterinary technician may perform under the supervision of a veterinarian?
I am not quite sure. I do not recall seeing that.
Okay, but that wasn't a part of your investigation, was it?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Sure. determining whether cat neuters are a routine procedure that a technician may perform under the supervision of a veterinarian was not part of this inspection or this report, was it?
I think that was the whole investigation, was to determine if he was doing it, and they concluded that technicians cannot be doing that because that is where tissue is, when you're removing the tissue and stuff, and that's surgical procedure.
Understood. I understand that's your position. And where are you getting that idea that any cutting of the skin is automatically a surgery?
The Indiana statutes and the AD, the practice that was from 2019.
Yeah. Can Ms. Resch, if you're going to get to Exhibit 3 to talk about the AVMA, I'll wait for that and follow up on the meeting of that. Otherwise, well, since we're talking to you now, do you know where in the AVMA Model Act it defines surgery as any cutting of the animals?
I don't know if it's section 3 or 25, page 25 to 28, and maybe in the document that we presented.
Understood. The last question is just, but that's your understanding of what that, the model act
Objection, she has
requires.
no knowledge of an exhibit that hasn't been admitted yet. We're not quite there.
Just preserve the right to follow up if necessary with the witness after that exhibit is presented.
Okay, thank you. Do you have other exhibits to admit?
One more,
Okay,
yes.
proceed.
As we were talking about, I was going to admit, or the state request for admission, the 2019 Model Veterinary Practice Act. It's the most recent version. And the state request to call Mr. Dr. Nolting.
Okay. And you have provided him with a copy
Yes.
of that exhibit?
Yes. Please be admitted.
We're accepting it, and it's admitted as evidence.
Okay. Are you familiar with this document?
Loosely, yes.
Okay. Can you please turn to page 5 for me, and it's labeled at the bottom? Is it true that the first sentence of the second paragraph reads, another purpose of this act is to fully occupy the field of veterinary medicine and provide a uniform statewide regulatory scheme to be enforced by the Board of Veterinary Medicine as defined in the scope of practice?
Yes.
Will you please now turn to page 9 and take a look at paragraph or where it's enumerated number 18. Is it true that paragraph 18 states that the practice of veterinary medicine does include the performance of any medical or surgical procedure? And then finally, will you please turn to page 28? And in paragraph mark 6-14, it states, quote, is it true that this says here, this subsection is not intended to allow for diagnosing, prognosing, prescribing, or performing surgery by veterinary technicians, veterinary technologists, or other employees of a licensed veterinarian? Thank you. The state has no further questions for this witness.
Okay.
Just a follow-up question on that.
Okay.
In any of the items that the state asked you to read, did you see a definition of the word surgery? No other questions on that?
You guys have questions? Witness.
which is.
And he's now, he's the witness at this point. Questions for the doctor?
How many other registered veterinary technicians,
I'm sorry, can you speak?
how many RVTs do you have that were not included in cat neuters?
Currently I have 4 RVTs. The one is licensed now that wasn't at that time. They were at the time when we allowed cat neuters, all of them were performing the cat neuters under my direct supervision.
If I may just respectfully object to asking questions outside the scope of the document that was put in front of him. And the reason I object is because it's the state's burden to prove the charges. And for the state to carry its burden, it needs to present evidence. And the evidence it presents is the only basis upon which it can rest its case for the charges. And so I'm concerned about opening up the line of questioning on matters that the state has not directly introduced, because that will essentially be doing the state's work for it and shifting the burden in a way that would prejudice Dr. Nolte. So on my defense, our case, I will be questioning Dr. Nolte about the very topic that you just asked about. And so my request to the board is that if your questions are not related to topics that the state has brought up for Dr. Nolte, which here was just the AMVA's Model Act, that you allow the state to be the one to decide what evidence it will use, and then reserve questions and other topics until we present our defense.
So in administrative law, the board can ask the questions however they want. But you can go ahead and do your direct examination of him now if you would like. Present your case.
I want to be very respectful to the board. I just want to know my objection to presenting our case as part of the state's case. So as long as it's understood that my examination of Dr. Nolte is not part of the state's evidence, but is our evidence, that would be our position.
Objection noted.
Thank you.
State?
The state rests. So, yep.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to explain that. Dr. Nolte, can you tell me where you're from?
Vincennes, Indiana.
How long have you been practicing veterinary medicine?
18 years.
And when did you obtain your veterinary license?
Would have been 2007, shortly after graduation.
And where did you attend school to become a veterinarian?
Purdue.
What animals have you treated in your career?
About everything. I did a lot of mixed initially, so horses, cows, pigs, sheep, goats, cats, dogs, mostly cats and dogs now.
Before receiving notice of the administrative complaint that we're talking about today from the state, have you ever been the subject of an administrative complaint?
I don't think so.
Are you aware of any other action against your license besides this one in the history of your career? Do you own a veterinary clinic?
Yes.
And you fully own that clinic?
50%.
50%. What's it called?
Southgate Veterinary Clinic?
And do you employ veterinary technicians?
Yes.
How many veterinary technicians do you employ?
4.
And can you explain just the history of your employment of veterinary technicians? How many do you usually have at any given time, and what do they do?
They anywhere from 2 to 4. A lot of them will. We try to have 4. Some of them will be an assistant at the beginning and then get their technician license. But normally we have 4 assistants or technicians at one time.
Okay. And before we get into what they do, can you describe the procedure for performing a cat neuter?
You make a small scrotal incision, 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch, depends on how big the cat is. Through the skin there, you'll extrude the testicle with the vaginal tunic. You'll pull it out. You'll take hemostats and make a knot in this pneumatic cord, then you'll cut the cord. And if it's a really small kitten, you can just pull it out without the knot.
How long does a cat neuter take to perform?
30 seconds.
And how much prep time goes into preparing
It
cat?
probably takes a couple minutes to prep and shave.
So if I heard you correctly, it's a couple minutes to prep and shave and 30 seconds to actually perform the procedure. Okay. Do veterinary technicians employed by your clinic perform cat neuters?
They did.
They did. When did they stop?
When we first got the warning from the board, or from the Attorney General, sorry. We learned that there was going to be an investigation, and I reached out to the board for clarification and didn't really get any answers. I didn't stop immediately, but then we got my partner got a warning letter, so then we stopped immediately, and then found out that I was under more investigation.
Okay, who's your partner?
Aaron Hecht.
Okay, so Aaron Hecht received a warning letter from who?
The Attorney General.
And what did your clinic do after receiving that warning letter? With respect to cat neuters?
We immediately stopped. We immediately stopped having any non-veterinarians do any cat neuters.
And have your clinic allowed technicians to perform any cat neuters since that time?
Yeah.
And what month, year was that?
I think it was January of this year, maybe.
Okay. Was it before the administrative complaint was filed by the state against you? Or they filed it?
I think it was probably about the same. I didn't know, I'm sure that happened at the same time, but as soon as we received a warning letter for him, we immediately stopped.
Okay, and that warning letter was received in January?
I think.
Okay. I emailed Exhibit A and B, and I'll kind of refer to those here, and I have a couple hard copies if anyone would like. I don't have these copies labeled, unfortunately, but
They're uploaded in SharePoint for the board.
yeah, would anyone like a hard copy?
Do you need paper
Are
copies?
they on here? Well, when you put them,
Just
stating.
They've been
okay,
admitted.
here we go.
You can admit them.
What are they labeled?
Exhibit A and B. Well,
Are
they're,
they admitted?
Not yet. I'll ask, I'll just authenticate them and then admit this.
All right, hang on, I got it.
So are these to be admitted into
he's gonna
evidence?
do it in a second.
Sorry.
I didn't hear the answer, I'm sorry.
They will be, yes. So Dr. Knowlton, I've pulled up Exhibit A in front of you, and is this an email chain that started with you emailing Gary Haynes on September 11th, 2024?
Yes.
I move Exhibit A into evidence.
Accepted.
And is this Exhibit A an example of you reaching out for guidance on whether cat neuter is a routine procedure that can be performed under the supervision of a veterinarian?
Yes.
And I will elaborate more on this exhibit in closing argument.
Okay.
But if anyone would like to ask questions, Dr. Knowlton, about this particular email,
You're first.
I'll allow that.
We'll do the questions after the state has cross-examined him.
I'm pulling up for you Exhibit B, and as prep for that exhibit, do you have a brother named Ted Knowlton?
Yes.
Is he also a lawyer?
Yes.
And was he acting as your lawyer, helping you at the time that you were aware of that an inspection was coming for your clinic?
Well, we didn't know the inspection was coming. When we first got the administrative complaint, they wanted a written response, and I contacted my brother, and he decided to do the response because it was all based on hearsay. So.
Okay. I just want to establish who he is. And is Exhibit B an example of Attorney Knowlton reaching out to the Clarence Leatherby and the vet board on September 10th, 2024. Okay. And in response to the inquiry reflected in Exhibit A and the inquiry reflected, and I'll move Exhibit B into evidence, I'm sorry.
Accept.
In response to the inquiry reflected in Exhibit A and B, did you receive any guidance on whether a cat neuter was a routine procedure that could be performed by veterinary technicians?
I did not get any clarification.
Okay. So I want to shift topics a little bit. What's an open bull castration?
Objection relevance.
We'll open one.
I
Do you have
will,
a comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. I think this goes to, understood it doesn't go to whether my client performed cat neuters or not, but I think it will be helpful for the board in assessing if it finds him in violation, appropriate penalty, because it does go to his intent and his overall disposition with respect to these procedures. So I think it's relevant, if not to the fact of the violation, at least to the board's consideration of the appropriate penalty.
the objection is noted, but I'm going to allow the discussion on it.
What is an open castration of a bull?
Well, you'll make a scrotal incision into the testicles. You'll pull the testicles out, similar to a cat neuter, only a lot bigger testicles.
Okay. How long does that procedure take?
Oh, probably a minute.
Is it around approximately take the same amount of time as a cat neuter?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the size of the testicles. They're a little bit harder to get out. But yeah.
Are you aware that Indiana Code 2538.1 4(3)B states that registered veterinary technicians may, under direct or indirect supervision, perform routine food animal management practices if a valid veterinarian client-patient relationship exists?
Yes.
And what does food animal management practices mean to you?
Well, I think that's loosely defined as castrations and dehornings in cattle.
And what's your basis for having that understanding?
I think there's AAVP guidelines on that, and I think there's a few different documents around that define food management procedures as open castrations of bulls and non-cosmetic dehornings.
You said AAVP, what's that mean?
American Association of Bovine Practitioners.
Okay. Beyond just literature and guidance from boards, is there any other basis for your belief that this is a routine animal management practice?
What I was taught in school.
And this is at Purdue?
Yeah. That the technician could, even indirect supervision, which means the vet doesn't have to be there. You can send a technician out to castrate bulls. And so based on my interpretation of law, I was like, is that considered a surgery? Since technicians are allowed to do that, then what do you define as surgery?
I'm going to pull up Respondent's Exhibit D, which I'll represent is just a research article from the VMC Veterinary Research in 2010. And I just want to go to first sentence of this article, page 1, which says, I don't have a physical copy of this. I sent an electronic copy.
Is this exhibit D or E?
D. Exhibit D. And do you see in page 1 of this Exhibit D, under the bold heading background, castration of male calves destined for beef production is one of the most common livestock management practices performed in the United States. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. I just moved to Exhibit D.
Admitted.
And I'm also pulling up Exhibit E, which is also available to the board electronically. And this is another article, Research in Veterinary Science, published in October 2017. First sentence under in page 2, under the heading Introduction, first sentence, castration, is this what it says? Castration is a common livestock management procedure throughout the world. Okay. Is this consistent with your understanding that open bull castration is a routine food animal management practice?
Yes.
Do you perform cat neuters on stray cats? Or did your veterinary technicians before January of this year perform cat neuters on stray cats?
Yeah, most of our cat neuters were stray cats or shelter team cats.
I want to put in front of you exhibit number C, and I do have hard copies of this exhibit. If anyone would like one.
I'll take one. Thank you.
State like one. Dr. Nolte, what is this document?
This would be like someone's copy of their invoice for a surgery or procedure.
Okay. And is this substantially similar to any of the invoices for the procedures that would have been issued for any of the cat neuters performed by registered veterinary technicians?
Yeah, this is what they would look like. Besides the, it would just be the neuter and sedation. The other stuff is there just for an example.
Okay. And the date that this was printed was March 26, 2025, is that right?
Yeah.
And that was well after you stopped performing the cat neuters through registered technicians, correct?
Right. This is just to give an example.
This is just an example, okay. I just want to make that clear. And so why is your name the only one listed on here?
Because I was the supervising veterinarian.
Does the fact that your name is on there, and this is true for, I'm asking this question with respect to the medical records that corresponded to cat neuters performed by technicians. Why would your name be the only one on those records?
Because everything is entered under a provider through the computer system, so you would be a supervising veterinarian would be in charge.
In charge. So was it your intent by putting only your name on the medical record that was the person in charge of the procedures?
Yes, the supervising, the person responsible for the procedure. Yes.
Were you trying to hide from anyone that registered technicians were performing these procedures?
No, it was not.
Have you ever disclosed to any patient owners that veterinary technicians perform the cat neuters?
Yes.
Are you aware of your employees making your patient owners aware that veterinary technicians were performing these procedures?
Yes.
And did you ever observe them making owners aware?
Yeah, I've heard the receptionist talk on the phone before and tell people that if they ask, who did the neuter.
Is there anything you want to tell the board just on why you did this and
Sure. I mean, initially, a lot of it, we were doing just a ton of Humane Society trap neuter release type work. So we would have a lot of cats brought in feral cats brought in cages. We needed to get them in and out same day because they pee and poop all over the place, stink up the place. Just, we don't want them stressed out in the cage. We like to have these people show up on certain days, surgery days, or sometimes they'd show up in the afternoons or at an inconvenient time. So I had some very good technicians and that do things which I think are a lot harder, certain IV catheters and things can be tougher. So it's a simple procedure. I trained them how to do it. I looked, and I also was familiar with the Indiana code that allowed technicians to go out by themselves and perform a bull castration. So in my mind, a direct supervision of a technician performing a cat neuter was within the scope of the law. And they became, initially it started out as just the TNRs, the stray cats. They got so good at it, just like technicians do at things that finally I was like, there's no reason why they shouldn't be doing client-owned because they're as good as the doctors are at it. So eventually, what started out as just a non-client-owned cat did shift into some client cats.
No further questions?
Cross?
Yes. Just really quickly, regarding Exhibit A, doesn't that email from the board advise you specifically to seek interpretation from a professional before, if you needed clarification?
Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes, I've thought a lot of it. And this is kind of an open discussion among my colleagues. So about the role of veterinary technician. There's a pretty big gray area. So this is a discussion I have with a lot of my colleagues at conferences and other places a lot.
But did you reach out to an attorney, somebody who could interpret statutes that would advise you on their reading?
I mean, I've discussed with my brother, who's an attorney. The board is the one that actually, I assume that contacting the board would be the best place to go. I mean, I had discussions with multiple people about it, but I don't know how to get the official answer without going to the board.
But didn't the board specifically direct you to seek?
It basically says use your own discretion.
I think that,
It says consult an attorney of your own choice regarding legal questions, yeah, I did.
correct.
I did.
Okay, so what is your definition of surgery?
Well, I don't know that I do have a good definition.
Well, do you think that the length of time that it takes to do a surgery affects the definition?
I think it should. So there is, I think to just say, I think you need to put some kind of guidelines on surgery. For example, if any cutting of tissue is a surgery, then there should be no non-veterinarian ever doing an ear tip on a cat.
So we're saying, so your argument is that even though a procedure uses anesthetics, requires cutting of tissue, that is not considered a surgery.
Well, let's take a step back. If there is.
Can you just, like a yes or no?
Well, if I would say the invasiveness makes a difference.
So your argument is that invasiveness, whether something is routine and the time it takes, affects definitionally whether something is a surgery.
I'd say as defined by what a veterinary technician, as defined in the law, yes. So would you think that a technician debriding?
You can't ask.
Oh, sorry.
Is it true that not only did you have your technicians performing these operations, but you also had completely unlicensed individuals performing these operations?
Yes, there was one unlicensed individual. She was in the process of getting her technician license. Yes, that is true. She's one of those, you guys, I mean, you have technicians that are not licensed technicians, but are fully capable, well before they're licensed, and she was one of those. So I don't think that her degree would have made her more skilled at performing.
So regardless of qualification, as long as you believe that they are skilled enough to perform surgery, you would allow them to perform surgery.
I'd say in my justification, it was directly supervised by me. It took less than a minute. I was taking full responsibility for it. So I would put that along the lines of like an IV catheter, or placing a urinary catheter in a Tomcat. It was a minor procedure.
Okay, the state has no further questions.
Just to follow up, we talked about, you heard questions about the definition of a surgery, and the issue isn't so much with the definition of a surgery as much as whether there's a distinction between routine procedures versus all surgeries are created equal. Is that a better characterization of your understanding?
Well, right, or to define more what, because it says there, technicians can't perform surgery, but then it allows for castration of bulls. They're also allowed to, clean up and debride a wound and suture a wound, which some people would consider surgery. So there's a lot of gray areas there. So I think it contradicts itself when it says that a non-veterinarian can't do surgery, and then it allows them to do surgery.
Your concern was with the routine nature of the proceeding, not whether it was surgery or not surgery.
Correct. And you could also go towards, a herd management procedure. It would qualify under that too. I mean, they're not food animal, but it's still a management procedure.
Is there anything else you want to clarify based on the questions that were asked of you on cross?
I don't think so.
I just have one redirect. Even with bull castrations, which is obviously a completely different animal, completely different anatomy than a cat, isn't it true that you still must be at least a registered vet technician to perform those castrations?
To do unsupervised, I think that I'm not for sure on that. It allows for, yes, it allows for registered veterinary technicians.
I'll just let the record reflect I was showing him the language of the statute.
Anything further right now from either of you?
No, the defense,
No, well, the board needs to ask questions.
correct. After the board asks questions,
Then we'll get to closing arguments, okay? Questions from the board or the doctor?
I see that you reached out to clarify the rules to the board in your exhibits. Did you reach out, because this is dated September, how long have the technician and the assistant been performing the neuters before you reached out? Or did you reach out before?
I reached out as soon as we got the complaint. I thought I was okay before, but not those necessarily those particular girls, but it's probably been 10 years that we've been doing this.
So you had mentioned that you were taught in surgery in vet school how to neuter cats. Purdue also has a registered veterinary technician a program to educate technicians too. Do you know if the technician students were taught how to neuter cats?
In school, I don't think so.
How were the cats, I've done trap and release and, neuters. How were the cats admitted? And was whoever was dropping them off talked with at admittance with regard to the procedure? And from the time they hit the door, was there a pre-op done in any fashion, or a lot of them you just had to stick them through the through the cage
Yeah.
to try to get
It all
them quiet
depends on the
down.
cat, like there being more of a pre-op for a client-owned cat, but for most of the shelter stuff, which is mostly what we did, then they would come in the morning, they would come either in carriers or cages, they'd bring, a lot of times 10, 15 at a time. Well, a lot of those we just stick through the cage with the syringe. And then there'll be, spays and neuters. So usually what we'll do is, what we had done in the past is while I'm spaying a female, they would prep and neuter the male. While I was, within 5 feet of them.
Other discussion or questions for this witness?
I guess I would just try to bring us down to the most basics, because that's how we're gonna have to look at this. And in veterinary medicine, there's discussions about surgical procedures and there's medical procedures. Would you consider a cat castration a surgical procedure if you had to put it in one category or the other? And that's kind of how we're gonna have to look at this. Surgery versus medicine, practicing surgery. And that is considered something that is, the way I personally interpret it is, that is a veterinarian's role, not a technician's role, not an assistant's role. When you look at this, the basics, and I'm a mixed animal practitioner, I totally get farm animals, pets, differences in the similarities, and how things sometimes are done differently in those different settings. I would also tell you that in my 30 plus years, things have changed, and how we did things, how things previously were done, and how things are done now. But I just wanted to get that question. Surgery.
Yeah, I admit to working in the gray. I thought it was ill-defined. I knew that AVMA didn't recommend it. I knew some guys were doing it. I knew some guys were letting technicians do a lot more. It was a shame on me. I didn't know it was in the gray. I took full responsibility for everything. So to me, it was like, to me, that's less risk than a lot of other things. Like, if you're going to catheterize a tomcat, I don't want my technician to do it because I've seen enough scarring. So I'm like, no, I'm doing that myself. But a cat neuter, I mean, there's not much you can do that I can't fix, if you happen to. I mean, such an easy procedure. But I don't know if you're able to clarify or get an answer. So cat neuter, okay, surgery, definitely not allowed technicians. I'm perfectly fine with that. I know a lot of clinics, and my clinic myself, do ear tips on TNR cats. My technicians cut off the tips of the ears. I can't allow that anymore. That's a surgical procedure. So there's lots of clinics across the country that are going to be sitting right here in the seat if that's the same scenario. It's removing a piece of tissue. It's a technician doing that most of the time.
Go ahead, whoever.
You said it's like they usually come in like 10 or 15 cats will get dropped off at a time. Since RVTs are not doing them, are you all still doing the same volume of those type of cats from the shelters and all the others?
We try to, yeah. It's still a lot less lunch breaks, but yeah, we don't turn anybody down because of that. The price will probably have to go up a little bit, but no, we're still managing. And it wasn't like, so part of it was the technicians like doing that kind of stuff. and they like being involved. They like helping out. And rather than just scrubbing, they enjoy it. I mean, it didn't take me long, so it's not, in the end, it's not saving me like a ton of time, but it's just, they were good at it. They're as good as the other doctors. Actually, when we changed in January, it said, okay, the doctors have to do neuters. The technicians had to teach the doctors how to do it because they hadn't done it in so long. They weren't as good at it.
Question I have is, I think it's appropriate. What brought all this down to begin with? Because I didn't read it in here. If I did, I missed it. Was there a complaint, or how did this get?
There was a neighboring clinic about 20 miles away, and we had some staff. Some of their staff had come to us, and kind of vice versa. And they'd gotten talking, and then they became aware. They were talking about how our technicians do cat neuters and that kind of thing. So I think that's what the hearsay got them to call them.
Are we allowed to ask questions of the state at all, or are we done with that part?
What, I have one more question. What made you start having technicians do the cat neuters? Like, what was the first thought of like, hey, we should do this?
Well, for one was saving time, being able to, if I'm doing all these surgeries and we have these other tomcats here in cages, we can squeeze in at the same time. One other contributing factor was one of the other doctors there insisted on using like a sterile pack and suture. When he was there, when I wasn't there, which makes doing that not possible on days when I wasn't there. Training them to do those procedures quickly, it was really initially for the days when I wasn't there. It was still under his supervision. He was fine with that, within doing them. But if he did it, he insisted on getting out a sterile pack and suture.
Do you realize the impetus for and the distinction that Dr. Sunbury mentioned between farm animal management procedures versus a client-owned pet that comes to your clinic?
I do. And that's why initially I started out just doing shelter animals. But then to me, I was like, if these technicians are good enough at it for this shelter cat, then they're really, as far as cat well-being, I was like, they're just as good as hands as these technicians. But yeah, I understand the differences in the how the law is written.
And this may be under discussion rather than a question, but the general public, unless they inquire, would you not say they would be under the assumption that their cat dropped off for a neuter was going to be done by a veterinarian?
Probably so. And honestly, a lot of them are that ways about dentals too, about just dental cleanings. They assume that vets do those. I have to tell people all the time, no, I'm not cleaning their cat's teeth. That'll be a technician.
Do you extract the teeth?
I'll usually extract the teeth unless and that's another gray area too. I mean, if the technician's doing a dental and they're falling out, I'll have her pluck them out. I mean, if they're that loose where they're just falling out. But that's another gray area too.
Yeah, I think you're debriding, suturing wounds, and there was some mention of hematomas.
Well, so from my understanding was, if we slice open the hematoma, drain it, my understanding was that it was okay for technicians to place sutures. Just like if a dog comes in with a laceration, the already there, that they could place sutures.
Where did you get that?
I don't have documents.
What made you decide that was the case?
I've seen documentation, I don't have it in front of me, but I've seen documentation about under guidelines of what technicians can do, because there's gray areas everywhere. But I used to have a technician that was on top of that. She kept up with all that kind of stuff. And I was presented with that information at some point where technicians could actually place skin sutures, as long as they weren't like making the incision. They made a distinction there.
Is that in the Indiana Practice Act anywhere that you're aware of?
Not that I know of. But this is Indiana Practice Act is like an AVMA recommendation, correct? This is not the written law.
Well, the Practice Act Task Force through the IVMA, when it's been updated, that is using AVMA and AVSB Model Acts as a guide, but not a literal translation from one to the other. In other words, Indiana Practice Act is not just verbatim follow everything in the AVMA Model Practice Act. It's used as a guide. One of the issues, and this is off topic, but I'll just be 30 seconds, because of the farm animal situation, that was specifically put in the Practice Act to alleviate the problem with farm animal management situations and shortages of veterinarians available. That was actually put in 2007 to help alleviate that problem, specifically that problem with farm animal veterinary shortages. And the rest of the duties of a registered veterinary technician are still not in a laundry list, even though these guys want the laundry list to say, what can a registered vet tech do versus an assistant? There is no specific laundry list as of this point. However, that's something that we're going to have to address. And we've discussed that. We're in the process, as one of the emails that informed you that Gary sent you, we're in the process of reviewing rules and codes. It's a long, drawn-out task. But in your situation, what's in the Indiana Practice Act, as Dr. Sunbury said, is what we have to go by.
I have to ask a question, and where is your RVTs? Where did they go to school?
Two of them went through Purdue. One of them went to Murray State. One of them went somewhere in Ohio.
I ask that question all the time.
And they all have not just graduated, but passed their VTNE?
Yes. Yeah, we're registered.
All right. We talked briefly up here about the VCPR, the veterinary client-patient relationship, and as that relates to feral cats coming in the door in cages that you can't touch the cat. And so I was just responding that pretty hard to have a good veterinary client-patient relationship when an assistant from the shelter is bringing the cat in, dropping it off. You can't touch it till it's been sedated in order to work with it. So although that's a real big trendy topic now and in discussion, whether it be Zoom calls or whatever, I don't know that it's particularly appropriate with what you're trying to accomplish at this point. And I think trying to support to reduce the population and doing what you're doing is an admirable way for a minimum amount of financial return to help shelters and that sort of thing get the job done. Unfortunately, you're just going to have to miss more lunch hours in the process. But at the same time, that's a good thing to help do. I can appreciate and want to acknowledge that. Anything further for this witness?
I just have, you said the clinic, you were 50/50 owner with another vet, a business partner.
And we have 2 other associates work there.
Mhm. How come you're here today?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing. How are you getting all the heat?
I do most of the surgeries, so I'm guessing that's why.
And I don't know, I would like to point out, it's not to Dr. Nolte or the other one, but there is a bill in California where they are looking to have RBTs neuter cats. I just wanted to put that out there. So it's something, and he was looking through the gray area of things, so I just wanted to say that that is on the table in other states, not necessarily.
Well, do you guys have any more questions for the witness?
No.
Because we're not at.
Yeah, I was
discussion.
We're
I
ready to
thought we were
move
gonna
in.
end
We're
it,
gonna
so
move into
I couldn't
discussion
say
here
it
in a minute.
without saying that.
We need to see whether you have any redirect. Okay, let's move into closing arguments. Is that okay? Closing statements?
So today the board heard testimony and was presented with evidence showing that regardless of intent, regardless of intentionally turning the eyes away and working intentionally in a gray area, despite from his own testimony that he knew that the AVA discouraged this practice. We've shown that RVTs and an unlicensed individual were performing cat neuters under the direction, under the encouragement and training of Dr. Nolting. I think that there can be no question that performing a cat neuter is a surgery, regardless of whether that is a routine surgery or a relatively non-invasive surgery. It is still a surgery. And also, I know that there is not currently a laundry list on what an RVT can and can't do, but there are guidelines on what they cannot do. Surgery being explicitly named several times throughout the guidelines. And further, I just want to keep in focus here, there was an intentional looking away from the rules to keep performing in this gray space. And it was done a decade before a complaint was made. And so we don't know the scope of what occurred in post-op. We don't know the scope of complications, but that would be impossible to measure at this point. Having a completely unlicensed person, regardless, like not even a vet tech, is particularly egregious. So I would ask the board to consider that as they're making their decision. It's not up to the vets to create their own law. That's, up to the board to install. I would also just ask you to find respondent in violation of the counts that we proposed here. The state recommends probation as well as the assignment of a practice supervisor to go through records, to go through documents each quarter and make a report. The state recommends 6 educational courses in the subject areas of supervisions of practice, and then any other fines or fees that board sees fit in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for your time and attention this morning. The facts aren't largely in dispute, and Dr. Knowlton acknowledges that registered veterinary technicians did perform cat neuters. And so we recognize where the board is headed with the merits of this case, and Dr. Knowlton will respect that. But I hope you've also seen Dr. Knowlton has been trying to do the right thing by his community, by the needs of the rural area in which he practices, to help shelters control the pet population, and that's really the genesis of this practice. We would respectfully push back on that there was an intentional looking away. I think as this board has discussed, there is some gray area. There is a desire for additional clarity, and Dr. Knowlton is permitted to practice within the bounds of the law. And the AVMA, even though its guidance is not the law, It's the guidance. And so we would hope that the board takes that into consideration when assessing an appropriate penalty. I also note that, just for the record, that count 3 of the administrative complaint, respondent's conduct constitutes a violation of Indiana Code 25194A1B, and that respondent engaged in material deception in the course of professional services. You did not hear any evidence about material deception. There was no evidence of intent to deceive. Dr. Nolting disclosed that this practice of having technicians perform the cat neuters was openly discussed, and you also heard his explanation for why the medical records were made the way they were, that it was the person responsible for the surgery and not the not that every person involved. I would also note that Indiana Administrative Code, Title 888, Section 1.152, which is the administrative code that identifies what's required to be in a medical record, does not identify the person performing the surgery as an item that must be included in the animal health records. So the reason I point that out is just to say the state has not met its burden to prove count 3. With respect to counts 1 and 2, we understand where the board is headed, and we would just ask that the board take the totality of the circumstances into account, and that the board issue at most a letter of admonition, and not probation. And Dr. Nolting is willing to perform additional continuing education. He's already said he's not going to allow his technicians to do this anymore, and so we would ask a sanction short of probation. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. These proceedings, according to notice, are hereby concluded. This cause is therefore adjourned until further notice. Thank you very much for coming. Okay. Anybody want to jump in first?
I just will, Brittany was right, I've already spilled the beans in the wrong place, but the bottom line is, the only concern I have is if a person with a client-owned cat, general public, veterinary clinic on the sign, a reasonable person is going to assume a veterinarian did that surgical procedure. Whether it was intentional or unintentional, that's a violation.
Speaking to deception.
Right.
Unintended.
Unintended or intentional, either way. Second of all, this wasn't brought to anybody's attention until a complaint was filed. As Ashley said, this was, a 10-year thing. So those two things, I think we have to take into consideration. The motivation with trap, neuter, and release and feral cats and all that, everybody here gets that.
Everybody what?
Everybody here gets the motivation behind trying to do well for the community with trap, neuter, and release, and do as many as you can, as efficiently as you can, and as safely as you can. We all know that. There is a separation between farm animal medicine and pet, client-owned pets. So from that standpoint, I don't think there was an intent to deceive. I get the motivation behind it. There was a violation. I'm okay with a letter of reprimand in this situation and a cease and desist, which has already been done. I don't think,
I have a question.
That's just my personal thought, is that.
I appreciate that. Can we require CE without the license being on probation?
No.
No.
Okay.
That's
important for me to know, because I do not personally feel that probation is indicated in this case. I'm 100% in agreement with a letter of reprimand. Perfect world, I would have liked to have had some record-keeping CE because we don't do any neuter without putting in the record what anesthesia was used, exactly how much of it, how the procedure was performed, to have it in there. And so, perfect world, that would be something I would consider, but I'm not willing to personally vote for probation in order to get that. So I align with Paul. Other thoughts, please?
I think that as soon as he heard anything alarming or that there was a complaint, he halted those procedures, is what I understand. And so I agree in the sense that a reprimand is in order, but I also, on the RVT side of me, is appreciative that you went the length to allow them to be utilized. But
I knew you'd like that.
I don't want to do catheters, but I kind of halted. I went back when, I heard the unlicensed person was doing it as well. But yeah, I agree. I don't think because our charge is to protect the public. So I don't think he was intentionally out there harming. And as soon as he heard, he halted.
Conversation on just the general public expect the veterinarian to have been the one to do it, I think is absolutely on point. There was a comment that the medical records do not have to state who performed procedures. I guess my understanding is that's implied because it's your medical record. It is that veterinarian's medical record. So just because it doesn't state, you must indicate who performed. I think the understanding is that it is the veterinarian who did it because it's their medical record. I'm stuck a little because I agree with you all that it was stopped once it was come to notice. Again, try to do good for the community and this and that. But I don't want to lose track of the fact that a non-veterinarian was doing surgery, and not just an RVT, but an unlicensed assistant was doing surgery. And that's bothersome to me.
And there's still the fact of, lying by omission is still lying. And there was admission of working within the gray area. And we know that 30 years ago, what was accepted then is different than accepted now. We also know that probably any of us that grew up on a farm, their fathers probably castrated. None of our farm cats were castrated by my father. So I think between castrating while standing, you don't have aftercare, you don't have, nobody is monitoring their temperature as they're leaving the gate. I think you're getting into awfully meticulous details when you compare a cat neuter who has anesthesia, drugs, and monitored afterwards, and then comparing that to castrating cattle. And then even if you were trying to be the utmost transparent, even if you thought it really was okay, are you okay with the technician neutering your pet today as you're signing the surgical release? Do you sign some sort of surgical release? Because technically they're under anesthesia, and so you need that safety net there to say, yes, you can sedate, and yes, I'm okay. He's just an old farm cat, whatever. Just goes into the omission thing again. So I'm not for this situation at all.
It's lack of informed consent.
Yeah.
Well, I need a little further from both of you with regard to where we're headed. I appreciate your input, acknowledge it, but does that mean you're recommending probation as well as a letter of reprimand?
If you do probation, I would not do a letter of reprimand.
Do one or the other.
Okay.
If we do a letter of reprimand, how do we know that continues to stop?
Actually, from his standpoint, what you just said, if we put him on probation for a short period of time, that doesn't, a letter of reprimand stays in his record forever, right?
So does probation.
Probation does too?
Yeah, even when it's lifted, it's in there.
Of the two choices, the letter of reprimand is the least egregious, I would think, in
Well,
somebody's
that's what I,
file versus probation, which,
I would not go for probation, I'm sorry.
I think that the issue before the board with this decision is, do you agree that he needs to do some sort of continuing education? And if that's the case, then he'll have to go on probation.
I don't
I
know if that's
recommend
gonna
a letter of
help him
reprimand.
do
But a letter
anything
of
differently.
reprimand does not, I mean, we can do that and move on.
Can we speak to recommending CE in the letter of reprimand?
Can we say, tell all your friends to stop allowing their RVTs to do this?
Number one, where are you gonna get CE on this particular topic?
Well, I'm focusing
it's
more on.
ridiculous.
Record
on
keeping?
record keeping.
what Jerry's leaning towards is the 6-hour vet trip continuing education class on medical records. Because he was using a computer invoice as the medical record. And his name is on those computer invoices. He's the responsible veterinarian. I get that, especially when you are doing 10 TNR caps that day. I understand it, but the bottom line is we found out the person that does continuing education in advance of this hearing or settlement conference has already done it, makes it that much easier than to just issue the letter. For years, under the old IPLA system, we were doing things backwards, I found out. We would issue a letter of reprimand and the required CE at the same time, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. We got a case coming up later where proactively the veterinarian did the CE.
Let's try to finalize
So,
this.
I concede to the letter of reprimand.
You might want to have a vote on the counts too, since there's 3 counts. Does the board find them guilty on just one count or all 3?
The counts 1 and 2 are allowing the RVTs to practice beyond their scope. And then count 3 is the material deception.
We really want to throw a monkey wrench into it. The big thing now is mid-level practitioner crap.
Don't go there.
Not law, though.
That's where we're at.
Don't go there.
I said a monkey wrench.
Yeah, don't go there. I would make a motion that we place a letter of reprimand.
Okay, but I think what Clarence was saying is
We have to address
go
the
through
3
counts 1 through
counts.
3
Oh,
first.
I'm
and
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I get it.
Violation or no violation, and then proceed with.
So you want to vote on each count?
Can we lump 1 and 2
Yeah, I think
together?
We could just lump them all 3 together if the board thinks he's violated all 3. I know there's some, the attorney said he doesn't believe he violated count 3. And there was not material deception, so I thought the board might want to debate that.
I don't think 3 was purposeful or mindful, but it probably did happen. So it's not an egregious violation, but it is to a degree. So, I mean, I would entertain a motion to
Just go through the count. You don't have to do a motion on the
For-
count. Just
okay,
do the
I
counts
suggest
and then-
1 and 2, we certainly agree with that, and I would exclude 3. But that's,
Yeah, but
My person.
how do you word that so that we agree with?
So do you find a violation, so for counts 1 and 2, allowing the RBTs to practice beyond their scope, do you find that to be a violation of the Practice Act?
Yes.
yes, everybody votes yes to that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
And then for count 3, which is that the respondent engaged in material deception in the course of professional services or activities, do you find that to be a violation of the Practice Act? Or not Practice Act, but Title 25, 194A1B?
We need to
Uh, the
go
wording.
around the room and discuss.
Yeah.
Vote.
I've got count 3 on here. Does that have a definition of material deception? Is there,
I don't think there was any to deceive anything.
is there a definition of material deception and what specifically that is? I
Sort of, but it's not before the board right now, and it hasn't been pled that way. Clarence, do you have a definition?
See if is there one in the code at all?
No.
I don't think so.
Without a specific definition, I'm personally sitting on no for count 3.
How do we word that?
I would just say 10 years of doing something in the open
Hard labor.
doesn't feel like, at least intentional deception. We can agree it was wrong, but it's like, I don't think,
I wouldn't even want to put that in the record.
I can just,
Intention.
you can just say,
just based on what we were presented as.
Yeah.
find them in violation of count 1 and 2, but not 3.
Yeah, what he said.
We need a formal motion on that.
Yes, I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, now we're to, I move that we issue a letter of reprimand as punishment, sanction, not punishment.
Is there?
Ashley seconded.
We are allowed to issue fines right now.
There you go. That's right.
Motion and a second.
Peelman seconded.
What's that?
I did.
Ashley.
Ashley did, sorry.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay,
You'll receive the
business here
order.
is finished.
Hey, thank you. You're very.
Dr. Knowlton, can I make one more comment real quick?
Absolutely.
There's a lot of discussion about this in this board. Be sure, you've talked to a lot of colleagues.
Yeah.
And you probably received a form letter about registered vet techs and title protection. Be sure that your technicians, even if they're graduates of an accredited program, if they haven't actually paid their licensing fee, passed all their exams, and they're not a technician. They can't use the
They should
term
define by that.
technician, they can't use the term tech. You employ a number of technicians, talk to a lot of veterinarians. I think it's important that you spread that word. And not only in your own practice, but with your colleagues.
Was there a push at some point to change to nurse?
Well, that's just a change because Purdue changed their degree to nursing versus technician. And their terms are, in Indiana, tend to be used interchangeably, but I wouldn't use either one. If they're not licensed RVT, they should be called an assistant.
Right.
We could use your help on that.
Yes, and to speak for RVT, whenever I hear text, like, there's no such thing as an unlicensed technician. So it's either veterinary, registered RVT or vet tech or vet assistant.
Thank you.
I would appreciate that.
So,
Thank you.
so like, can I ask another?
Third time.
Brittany?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so like.
Thank you for your help on
He's got a
this.
question.
Thank
So-
Very much.
So I'm, yeah, I just like everything to be clear as possible. So like, like a tip in an ear, I should be doing that. Okay. Making a tattoo incision, I should be doing that.
That's,
Oh, really? I guess we can't say, can we?
no, not right now.
We-
I mean,
We're not, that's the whole problem, is we're not supposed to
Yeah,
give legal advice.
We'll take all this under advisement and we'll proceed accordingly.
Yeah, we're not supposed to
Thank you
give.
so much.
Take your letter of reprimand and
Yeah, thank you.
well, you can. We're gonna take a break.
No kidding.